Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for coming. This is our last lecture of the semester, and my name is Antonia Pacheco. I'm the president of the Architecture Society, and it's a pleasure to see you all. Before we start, I'd just like to thank everyone for coming, and also thank you, Professor Moreno, for your guidance through all of this, and Mr. Rivera for taking the time to share your knowledge with us. But also, I'd like to thank a lot every member of the Architecture Society for working hard and making this possible. Thank you guys for putting in the time and coming to the meetings. It means a lot. And I just wanted to say thank you for coming, and I hope we have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonia. As Antonia said, the student club, the Architecture Society, really worked hard in getting this set up for us. Actually, all the lectures. So if you've been to all our lectures starting from September, October, November, January, or February, March, and then this one, they've worked really hard in trying to make sure that everybody is able to come, whether virtually or through Zoom. So if you would please give them all a round of applause for their hard work. And through COVID, it has been quite a task to be able to get everything done. Even getting tonight done, I was still getting phone calls today because there's tons of confusion about everything. And Mr. Rivera knows because I got a call right when we were eating lunch. I do want to thank you all for joining us. It's nice to see you outside the box. Right, that nice little screen, the little Zoom screen. It's nice to see you all. Not that it's not nice to see those of you that are on Zoom, which, by the way, we are recording this and it's on Zoom for those of the people that could not make it to our presentation today. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce our speaker tonight. I first became aware of Miguel Rivera's office in the 90s. I won't say what 90s, but I was intrigued by one of their bridges, which some of the students know about the bridges because that's one of our projects, to design a bridge. And I showed that one of their bridges so that they could start thinking about bridges differently. And that's what really intrigued me about their office, is that they think of the usual things that we see, but differently. And then I hauled my family over to the bird park and to go see a set of restrooms that, and they're like, we're gonna go look at restrooms. Yes, we are. And so we went to go see some restrooms that the office of Miguel Rivera designed. And they've continued in making more and more architecture that is influential all across the country. Just to let you know, I talked to a friend of mine that's in LA, and I said, oh, we're having Miguel Rivera from Miguel Rivera's office. It's like, wow, that's fantastic. So that's, their name is known across the country. So this afternoon, I got the chance to hang out with Miguel Rivera and got to show him around town, and I got to know quite a bit about him. He graduated from the University of Puerto Rico with his undergrad, went to Columbia University to get his master's. From there, he worked with Guathme and Siegel. If you guys remember who Guathme and Siegel are, they're probably they're known for lots of work, but probably most familiar would be the addition to the Solomon Guggenheim in New York City. There in Guathme's office, he met Juan Miro, his future brother-in-law, who moved to Austin along with his sister and started the office. And then short while afterwards, Miguel followed them to Austin and formalized the Miguel Rivera office. So with that, I'll let Mr. Miguel Rivera continue the talk.
Hello. Okay. Thank you, Antonia, and all the students for organizing this, and Emmanuel for generosity. Maybe I can do this in Spanish. There's a lot of people, I think, that know Spanish here. It's easier for me. When Emmanuel called me and he said that the student were the one organizing this, for us, that's exactly what we want to be doing, being, with the students. Okay, the professors over there, but when the student, the same thing happens in Buffalo University. The student from the Buffalo invited us, and when a student asks, we always say yes. And Juan wanted to be here too. He teaches at University of Texas, and they're in final week, and next week is their final review. So sorry that he cannot, be here with you, but when that's the biggest compliment, and we're happy to share with you what we do. Our focus, when I'm trying to put this together, is I want you to leave first inspired, and two, learn something. I go to many lectures today, Emmanuel, that they put slides. I can see that in magazines. I can see that in the internet, in their website. So before there was no websites. You guys don't know, but there was a time that there was no cell phones either. So and you drew by hand. So I think the profession, I would say, is, for me, is the one of the best, most beautiful professions that you can choose, because what we are trying to do as architects is art and make people life better. So doctors can cure your disease. They made you feel better for a little bit, but we're going to make you feel good for a long time. So it is our responsibility to make the cities better, the places better, and there's a lot of potential all the time. Mine in El Paso is growing. We're talking lunch is growing. We need you guys to do that work. So is the first 2 years, which is what you're taking here in a community college, I would say that those are the most difficult too. So I know, like in my school, when we started, we're like 100, we ended up like 30. That's not uncommon. Antonia was not the one that was sitting next to me, that it's more or less the ratio like that. Many started, but don't finish. But don't give up. I mean, it's difficult because you have to learn to get concept, to draw. Now, I didn't have to worry about it because there was no computers in my time, but now you have to figure out the computer and the rhino and the dinosaurs or whatever it is, all those programs. So, and you think that people think just press the button, and it's not. You still have to draw line by line. I think it's easier to do. So what I'm going to show you is different projects, and what the title we put was building ideas. You have an idea, and sometimes the idea is very hard to come up with the idea, the creative part, but to build that idea is very, 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 very hard. So I'm going to show you some samples to give you an idea as you move to third year or second year of what to expect. And this is something that you're not going to find in books, you're not going to find in. So let me get my thing here. I think it's this one. So just a little background. Juan Miro, my partner, he's from Madrid. So you see kind of the influence of us, two very different people, but with some common ideas. He grew up in a very dense city, and I'm from San Juan. Lucky me, right? So actually, my high school is right around there. For track and field, have to run around the lagoon, and for PE, we had to go to the beach and run at the beach. So yeah, it was terrible. So it's a very beautiful place, and I show that because you're going to see that it's related to where we live in Texas. We have beautiful, sun like you have here, a lot of light, a lot of sun, and it's good to be outdoors. So here, like Emmanuel said, this is Charles Guathme. That's Rosa, my sister, and Juan and I. That's in our office. Like he said, we met as we were working together. I was the only one that speaks Spanish in the office. So Juan was a student of Charlie at Yale, and then he said, hey, you're the only one that knows Spanish. Show him around the office. He came by a spring break. So I gave him a tour of the office. Then he graduated and came to the office, and then immediately we became friends. And later on, he became my brother-in-law. We are practicing in Austin. And it's a beautiful place. It's growing like all American cities today. But it took me a long time to get used to a new place, get to know nature. But one of the beauties that I like of Austin is first that it's warm, and then the nature is all over you can live with see the landscape, the water, and then our office is Osborne, and then Ken Jones is a principal in the office that's been with us for almost from the beginning. He was a student of Juan, and we worked. I hit one too fast. So this is just kind of a little bit of giving you background that everything takes time. We started in 2000. And then I got in 2005 the Young Architect Award, and you can see in the Austin Firm Award. Then we became fellows, and then we get the Texas Firm Award, and then in 2020, which we have some books here, we published the book of 20 years of our work. And I'm going to show you some of those projects. So everything takes time. What you see has been an effort of over 20 years of work. And I think you mentioned the restroom. Some people say, you're doing a toilet. So if you get a project to do a toilet, don't feel bad about it. Then people might say it's a toilet. Some people make fun. Oh, you did a toilet. I say, I did a sculpture. So this is, that's not the toilet. That's what, it is a toilet, but that's what the city of Austin had. When the people in Park and Recreation, they don't know, they go to a catalog, where do you buy one? And they dump it there. You can bring it from a helicopter. It can be anywhere. That's what they had. So they said, we need to replace this. We haven't done anything for 20 years. What should we do? So I made a sketch of what we're going to do is a sculpture. So it's up to you as an architect to decide. You do a toilet or you do a sculpture, or you need to be positive. You're the one that's going to change people's mentality. So you just don't do what they tell you to do. Do more. But the professors that I see some here say, I need a plan, elevation, section, rendering. Don't do one rendering. Do 3. Okay. So always do more. So we were thinking, this in the park, how many people are going to use this toilet out of 100, maybe 1, right? So a lot of people are not going to go in, so let's make it something beautiful. So we thought about also thinking about how to make it very quick, very inexpensive, and very durable. Because always the city, how are you going to clean it? How are you going to, all those things. So we thought about doing these metal panels like that, and do kind of the sculpture. And you can see how it goes from one side to the other. It's a very simple steel panels. And it was interesting because we worked together with the Park and Recreation, and you can see here, it's basically a cantilever. And this is where I'm going. This is the idea about how you make it happen. And you look at it, look, oh, that's so simple, I can do that. But in some cases, you have to do a foundation, and like a cantilever, of a building. This is a cantilever, but standing up. So when you have that panel, the wind move it and the strength. So we had to do a foundation and to have these angles connected, and depending on the height of the panel, we needed to have, more footing. So all that was engineered, and we had to figure, all that out. I hit too fast. So the park and recreation people they didn't know how to build this, so they were doing the foundation, and they're like, I don't know where to put it. So we ended up printing. These people from our office, we printed this full size, and then we sprayed in the ground. And here we were playing contractor. They didn't have money. They didn't have, all those things. Now there's a foundation, in Austin, that they have funds to do this project. So we ended up placing the panels in there, and this one might be a little video. So we had to play contractor. I went to a lot of fundraising, to get money, and also I ended up calling the metal people, getting all these permits and all that to do this little restroom. So this was done in 2 days. I think 1 day, and then, because again, when you have these cranes and all those things, it costs money to have that. So they put it together, very quickly. And that's what you see now. And you can see in here, and this has been a long time already. The funny thing is, the door, this is one thing that can happen. The door is steel door, right? So well, that's too heavy. You cannot have a steel door. You have to do something of glass, aluminum, wood, something that, and then I thought of, everybody knows here, Carlos Carpa, the cemetery in Italy. I remember going there, and there was a big, a door of concrete that you can easily move. So it's all about the hinges, right? So we said, look, it's about the hinges. It's not about the steel, because they think that is heavy. So you have to prove that a steel door can work. Is all about the hinges. And for ADA to pass the code for ADA, there's a force that you cannot be more than X amount of pounds. So we have to prove them that with a tool, how many pounds you need to open the door, and that passed. So they want the thing to be indestructible. So as an architect, you're going to get all the time. No, you cannot do that. Oh, that's not possible. That's not to code, or that's too heavy, right? Or this, or that. So they always think about graffiti. How you going to, it's nothing you can do about graffiti, really. We're doing a second one with a city official, and they're like, graffiti, what you going to do? And then there's a paint that you can put in to protect for graffiti, you can clean, but they cannot give you an answer. Sometimes you are in an impossible situation. So for all this is a sculpture. It's not a toilet. This is the bridge you mentioned. This is a bridge for a house that we did. And there's a lagoon, and the inspiration of this, and that's what I want you to know. How did you come up with that, right? So there's this reef there in the water, right? Juncos that you see there in the wetlands. So we wanted to get the inspiration of the same nature that is there. How can that kind of merge with the bridge, and it kind of goes away? So the inspiration comes into that, and that's again the initial sketch of the bridge, and you need the structure to hold it. But the other things, we're thinking that it's kind of the wetlands reef that goes from one side to the bridge to the other. This is different sketches that we use. How you gonna hold that? How you gonna the structure that you're gonna go from one side to the other. So we started thinking about rebars, and again with clients, we need to educate them and say, we never done this before. So this is an experiment. We have to do a little mock-up and test it. So we did a couple of these, this mock-up where we can see it, how the rebar will behave, how to cut it above. And then from that, you get all the structural drawings of, how to do the base and the tubes and all the connections and welded. So all that will work. And here you see the concrete footings, the tubes. And then here's all the rebars. You put it, just rebar. You just put it, in the ground, one after the other. And you can see the first one lifted. You can use like the plumber to bend tubes. You start bending them. And then there you go. Then, if you can see, they're all the same length, and it was supposed to be random. And the contractor was like, random? What does that really means? So we did a drawing, A, B, A, B, C, A, C, D, all that. And they're like, "Whoa." So Juan, my partner, he just went there with a charcoal and went, caught it. And that was interesting. So, and you can see some of the from under. So again, we see it's not just a bridge, it's a sculpture, it's connected to nature. And also, we figure out, and that's what students, I say, you need to think about the structure. You're not gonna let the engineer dictate what you do. You think Calatrava, for example, even Frank Lloyd Wright with the Johnson & Johnson, that he had to do those columns, he has to prove that those columns were held. So they put bags of sand, or I think it was sand, heavy weight, to prove them that it could be done. And these are very small projects. Those two projects won international awards. I think those are the most awards we got, those two little, a toilet and that little bridge. Okay, more than all the other projects we don't combine. So don't be a snob and say, I'm not gonna do a toilet, right? And that got us to go to the RIBA, the Royal Institute, in London, and we lecture in Italy and all these places. And so this is a gate. We have a client say, we have this gate, it's kind of ugly, we want to change it. What would you do? So we started thinking about, how to do this, this gate, something different. And here some paper, models of how to do it. There's a rendering of, how we're going to make it transparent and some movement. So we started doing a pattern where we wanted to be, solid in the bottom, to hold structurally, and then eventually be more transparent. And we did a pattern, computer model. And then you see the blue line, it looked kind of static. So we started to move with those programs. I don't know which, if this is the Grasshopper one or which one we use. So we move something and then it's more lines like that. So we start liking that. Yeah, this, which one is this one? Grasshopper, okay. It's not the cockroach one. Okay, so this is the Grasshopper. And I don't understand that. I never done this. I don't know what that is. But somehow that gives you this. I still don't know why are we, whatever. So then you look at it in the screen, it doesn't work. Print it full size. This is full size. We print it, we look at it. I'm like, I don't know, it's to think, I don't know where, So we start, then we go and get it printed. We send it out to a laser printer, company, I don't know where. In Austin, they had it. So in order to figure out the cost, you don't want to spend too much money all the time. So we did it in sections and we put a drawing, then we put it together just to get an idea. We felt good about it. Then we're looking at materials, how to cut it and do all those things. And we ended up with bronze as one that we could bend. So here's the two finishes, one different tones that we need to, and then and this is, then it goes to the computer, then it goes to these machines that and then it's water jet, and it's cutting these things. So it's a very impressive way of doing these things. And then you're like, oh, I'm done. No, we're gonna complicate things. We're not done. And then we look at each panel. We have to do a drawing of each segment that you can see the bottom half, the base where the support is. They're all bending in different different ways, what you saw in paper. So these are shop drawings. Well, here, these are shop drawings from all drawings, and each one is enumerated, and then here they're bending those, and we had different location of where to bend it. You can see it's a long gate. Then you start, putting it up. They're holding it with this thing, and they're still bending it, and then they start connecting it to the horizontal bar where the track system is going to go. We wanted to do everything in the shop. We put the motor, everything there. That was part of the plan. Everything's going to work. When it leaves this place, there's no send it back to the shop. Doesn't work or whatever. No, everything needs to be perfect. So that was that. So those projects I'm showing because a simple bathroom or a simple bridge or just a gate, you can get it fairly complicated very quickly. So all this is a process of talking to craftsmen, people that are very good, to decide whether it's steel, whether it's bronze, and so on. It just doesn't come up. We work in the Formula One project in Austin. Anybody likes cars here, Formula One? Okay, so we're thinking, okay, something with Formula One. I'm not this is being recorded, so don't say that I'm not a big fan. I'm a super fan. Okay, so we're looking at the cars, understanding the cars, the Formula, to win a race or lose a race could be, I don't know, a little piece of metal that is too heavy. So everything is studied very carefully. It's a lot of engineering. So you're like, we're going to do this tower. The client wanted to do something different. All the Formula One tracks, they're just, flat the track, but there's nothing. He wanted to do something different. It's the first one in the US. So we were thinking, what about a tower so you can see everything from above? So they thought that was a good idea. So we're thinking about the roads, like, many of these around here, right? And if you live in El Paso, you're gonna see many of those. So we're thinking about the roads, how they, in the perspective, go away. Also the speed of car at night, the light. We're thinking about cars, movement. How can we, integrate that? And that's kind of the first sketch of, combining those ideas of the red of the Ferrari or red of the car and the movement and so on. So that initial sketch became the project, and you're going to see it's going to look just like that. The problem is how you go from that to stepping up on the tower. That's the trick. That's what I want to show you so you can see. You can see the tower in there. I'm not going to go over, but we did the grandstand. We did the whole plaza there where the water is in the center, and we did many other things, but I'm just going to focus on the tower. So here, the tower is very skinny, so we used this kind of skirt here to hold it, for support. And there's a lot of, there you even see the footings, and that would be, on the ground. So there's a section from the tower. So at the height of the tower, there's the truss kind of is separating more, to allow for that to, to come down. Oh, sorry. And then this was being done very quickly because of the deadline of the race. So we work with structural engineer. This is a Tekla model that they model everything, and that goes straight to the shop. So we save a lot of time from that. And then here we did the base out of glass, the floor. And this is in the shop, how we, we're, getting all that done. It was done in pieces, brought to the site in pieces, and then lifted in sections. And you can see some of the, sections going over there, and here, you see the tower. Then they did an amphitheater below, and that becomes kind of the symbol. When you leave Austin in the airport, like this morning, I went in and I saw the tower. And you can see it has become an icon. Now, we did the tower, but now there is cups, there are T-shirts, there is the tickets in all the events, there's images, and it becomes a icon of Austin. It's the most Instagram or photo or Facebook or one of those Instagram place in Texas. The most that people send is this tower. And then I was there the first race. I don't know if people know this Brazilian Massa. Anybody like cars? The Brazilian Massa. He's Formula One. He will not step in the glass. He gets scared. You believe that? The guy goes 200 miles per hour, but he's like. So I would not go 300 miles per hour, but I would jump there. It's fine. So these are drawings of that. So this is what it's going to take, guys. And that's when the professor is pushing, think about the detail, think about how you hold it. So that's the top of the tower, and it's showing how the glass is connected, how, all the tubes holding, the foundation at the bottom, the elevator, the stair, ADA. We even had to do a smoke test to get a permit, because if there's a fire, how people can get out, even though there's nothing to burn. And well, it's too much information. So now this is a concert. This is people from my office here. The first concert, we took the whole office, the Lumineers. I don't know if you guys know the Lumineers. We went to see them, and it was fun. And now, all that have LED light, they can control it from the crowd. The owner have a little, what color do you want? Change the colors of the tower. So it's fun to see these things happen. Again, this is, we call it a vertical house because the whole house it's one house, not in this other direction. We met with the owner, is in Dallas, and the owner wanted kind of, is the highest point in Dallas, so you can see downtown. So wanted to go vertical to be able to have, the great view. So again, a lot of these things, how did they come up with this? Well, the owner said, I don't want any mullions. I want glass and no mullions. No mullions. Okay, how you do a house? No mullions, right? I wanted to look out and go as high as possible. So we started looking at the site, and we had at the bottom is a guest house, and at the top is the main house, and it will have an entry. So the idea was that the visitors will come from the main street, park there where is number 2, and they can walk up there, but the owner can go where is number 5, and it's kind of semi-underground of that. So you go kind of like James Bond, you go through this gate, and there's another bridge, you go through this gate, and you are at the bottom of sorry, too fast. And that's what the house has, that ground level, and then we have an elevator that goes, and everything is facing in there, and you can see the views. Now, how do you make that work? So one idea that Juan, my partner, came up with, not me, I'm not smart enough for that. So he had the screen that you see in there, the channel that you see on the side there that is holding the floor. The idea is that channel will be welded to a plate, a steel plate, that will be connected to each of these louvers or screen, and those becomes the columns, and they're outside. I don't know if you can see, like, you see those screens? So we're using that in the east and the west to deal with the sun, but at the same time, is the structure. So there's no column. When you see like Miss Van der Rohe, Villa Sawan, all that, you see the column, the round columns. They're inside. There's the column. So it's like he want the facade, the free facade, but you see the little round columns going. So in here, there's no columns. So, and that's what you see here. You say, how are you holding this? So it's I think Juan is a genius, he came up with these things, but there's no column. 99% you'll see a little column like that holding the edge. So the screen is doing us working with Guafmi, is a modern architect that was about everything you do, it should have a reason to be there structurally. So when we're doing the tower, they were trying to save money and all those things. So we make sure that every element, you take that, it falls down. Sorry. If you take that, it falls. Okay, I have to do it. So, so everything that is decorative is just decorative. It's just makeup. You can remove it anytime. So here's the bridge. You see the guests will come through that bridge. They will only go on the bottom, and that's what it is. But the interesting part of the house for us is that you can see the plate on the right side a little bit of how these floor slabs are one above each other without columns. And here's a very simple, plan. Is a cube. And that's kind of the idea. Again, when you're in the room, that's what you see. Clear glass, no mullions, no columns. And that's what we enjoy doing. Now, you do the floor, you do the lighting, you do all the other things, but there's always like a concept that make things interesting and unique. And that's how you make it work. So you need to, again, I cannot emphasize more to the student. Don't say, here's my idea, engineer, figure it out. You have to figure it out. We go, we figure it out, and we go to them, double check the size, if it's the beam size, and double check that, but we know where the air conditioning is gonna go, we know where the beam is, we know all those things. They just have to size it correctly. Okay, we're doing good with time. I need to go faster. Maybe I'm talking too much. So this is an Indian temple. We in Austin, they call us to do an Indian temple. Anybody from India here? Nobody. Okay. So this was a project with different phases. One was the temple, and then a Sunday school, and then there was like in the center there was like a plaza, and then future building that they haven't done yet. So it's an interesting one because there was no money. And so it was very challenging. So from the beginning, we said, there's no money. So it's going to be stucco, it's going to be wood, and that's it. I mean, we're not going to talk about granite or it's nothing, that's what it is. But how can you do something interesting? So we started thinking about the history of how, the Indian temple has to be the highest part, the altar has to be the highest part, and so on. So we started thinking about that. And then as I was looking at it, we're trying to do an interesting shape to make it fun. So here's the Sunday school. I'm not going to go over because we don't have that much time, but it's very simple. It's aluminum, storefront with stucco. And then we came up with a roof. Was trying to see how can we make a roof that is interesting. So it's the same metal, but I pick, I think, 3 or 4 colors, tones, and just alternate and just make it something interesting. Here's where they take the shoes off. So they enter and here's the temple. Now, how you make all this happen? This granite, stone are very inexpensive. They're like $100 each. It costs more to bring them to the site than the stone. So we got them and we put them around the temple to give them this idea of the history of like the Indian temples that are, stone. And also in the inside, each family can be a donor. So we're like, you want to do the stone? Hey, client, we have an idea. We can put the stone around and families can give you money. Eventually, donor opportunity. So you need to figure a way that you can convince people to give them opportunities. So families pay for this, which pay for the temple. And then we're looking at, some samples of different temples, in India, where they have the the wall all around. Then you enter, and then you have the altar, and then you have the different parts. So there's a historic part, and here you see it, how the stone itself gives you this sense of, being there for a long time. And this is just gravel, it's very simple. And here's the section, which is all wood. And then we did this top of the temple out of pipes in reference to the Indian temples. And then we did this golden, we didn't have money for tiles or anything like that, but we ended up putting a paint. Okay, quickly, we're good? We're good? A little more? Nobody's falling to sleep? Okay. So this client, we know for a long time was looking for a lot in Austin to build a house. And it was for a year writing letters to people to buy their lot. And one day I drove by and I saw a for sale sign of this one. I called him, you gotta buy this lot. It's amazing. You gotta buy it. And they're, oh, I don't know. So you just call. He called me back. Oh, somebody already put an offer. That offer is gonna fall down. You put your call back, put your name, because that's not gonna go through. That's your house. And that's what happened. He called back. I didn't get the commission of the real estate agent. I would have made more money for that commission than doing the house. So if you're not sure about being an architect, a real estate agent makes more. So then they were like, oh my God, what is that house? So what we decided was to renovate it. And actually part of the deal was, many people would say, just demo the house and do a new house, it's cheaper. And we say, if you demo this, we're not doing the job. And I got a contractor that is very good. And we ended up renovating the house. And it's been a symbol for that part of Austin, how you can take a house that is really in bad shape. And those things are priceless. And I'm involved, and something that I will tell you, try to get involved in your community one way or another, even at your age now. I'm part of the Old West Austin Neighborhood Association, and I'm a volunteer. They don't give me a penny. We meet every month, Monday, have a meeting, 8 in the morning, and we are constantly trying to protect these homes. And we are educating the neighborhood. We're talking to city officials not to give them demolition permit. Like for something like that, we were opposed. We go, everybody oppose. And then, so this has been a sample. So we renovated this house, and you can see here in the, let me see if I have here. That's the old house. And what we decided to do is to do an extension of this. There was nothing there. So in here, because this house had, pier beam, and this was, the whole side was clay. The land was moving, it would move, so it was really bad for foundation, but we did a very good, piers like 30 feet down the ground. So this was going to be very stable, but this was going to move. So I made a little bridge here where the old and the new meet, and I put a seismic joint like in California, or you see in bridges, is like a joint where the two can move differently. So you need to be thinking about all those things. And here you can see that's the connection in here. And there's maybe more detail that you want to hear, but for the students, I didn't want to see the air conditioning grills. Well, you don't see here, but you know the grills that you have in your house for the AC. Here, what we did is with the ceiling, I was going from low to top. I was thinking of the Guggenheim. Frank Lloyd Wright makes you enter low and then go big, so it feels, taller. So I wanted to do that low and then get higher. And I also wanted to do panels where you go from this is, an inch and a half or 2 inches growing, the space bigger. And in between, we put kind of like open air. So the air conditioning goes back there. Those are the return air. The return air goes there, and the AC unit is back there. But nobody sees. I don't like to see the grills. Oh, sorry. So this is a section of the, the old and the new all one level. We had a design that was 2 floors. There was too much money, so we simplified and made it all one level. And that's what you see, have a garden and a courtyard, and then all these things is for the air conditioning supply. And then very quickly, this was the back of the house when we found it. And then this is the same shot of the house today. So there's a lot of things to it. You can see the old and the new, but even here you open this and there's a TV, and we do cabinetry. Work in New York. In New York, you do a lot of interior work. So how those cabinets done for you to open a slide, and suddenly there's a big TV. But when you don't want it, I don't like to see TVs just like that. So you need to find solutions, and that's kind of, they have this very private garden right in downtown Austin. That's his office, and that's kind of office. So I call it a 5-yard house because we made 5 spaces of garden. The front yard, one on the side, and this is the one in the back from the master. This, they have a couple more. This is a house in Monterey. Sorteos Tech is a scholarship that the Tech of Monterey does to raise money for the School of Architecture. So this is the second house we did, and I'll go very quickly. And this goes to a lottery, national, and people win it with the car, with the furniture, everything. So we try to do something different since we don't have any client. So we start experimenting of a house with curve and concrete. We work together with an office in Monterey, and you can see here, they needed to have a pool and car, the basically house. So here we were experimenting with these pipes. And many of these projects, when you're doing this in an office, you're doing 2 or 3 projects at the same time. So we have a couple in Austin that we were experimenting here. And so the facade is these pipes. You cannot see much, but all that is the same pipes we use in the Indian temple, but they're together. And then you space it apart, and then you have opening. And that's inside. And you can see there, the house. So we're trying to do something with movement. They're very small site. And I'm gonna go very quickly. And this that's what I was telling Manuel, that here looks a little bit like Monterey because of the mountains. Yeah. Okay. And you can see, so it's been an interesting project. This one, Rice University invited us to do a student center. Invited 3 architects. Us, who was the other one? Kunik, and Sir, what's his name? Forgot it. Anyway, he got it. We didn't get it, but we had the best project for sure. So it was an existing building by Cesar Pelli that they were going to demo right at the quad. So we're trying to figure out, how you can create this student center. It started like a cultural center because they have so many cultures, and Rice doesn't, they have a lot of different groups, but they don't have a place to be together. So we work to figure out this kind of from the competition. So we had the ideas of, brick. There's a lot of brick at Rice University, but there's a lot of buildings with arches. So we're trying to figure out how we can combine all that. And this is existing, buildings in there, and we were trying to connect. There was an existing building here, connect the existing, and how we do, the building. So there was a lot of urbanistically that I don't have, too much time, but the connect where the building was connect to the quad, connect to our old square where that temple is. So we had this one corner where we have the arches and the students can go through. And here is the center, here's the bookstore, and here's the cultural center in this side. but it's this is the old, the church with the existing square. Here's the Bronstein Pavilion. I don't know if you know that. If any, you guys been to Rice University? It's a good visit. There's a lot of architecture to see. So so we were working with the existing building here that is a historic, this arcade. So we completed the courtyard of this arcade. And then we had a connection from campus from this side, and also a connection from this side. This the gym is like around here. So there's a lot of foot traffic from all directions. So how you connect the building here for the main entry, walk through and connect from the old to the new. And this is the big atrium. And here's the food service, the cafeteria, bathrooms and all that. And here was the bookstore. So it was very interesting project. And this was kind of the idea of the atrium, where they have offices and meeting rooms in the upper floors. And you can see here, railings. We're working on this similar to what we're doing the gate. We're experimenting with the cutting. So here we're kind of experimenting with that too. And here the upper floors, and then in there we were their mascot is the owl. So we come up with the idea of having the owl nest, a place that students can go and feel this is the origin of the owl nest. And you can see here the old tower. So all that. We ended up doing a lot of arcades, kind of like this, opening to the quad. So you have all these terraces opening in there for the student to gather. And this is what you can see, how the students can be there and all be, not this boxy building that is not connected to the exterior. So there is a way that they can connect. Did I go forward? And there's some sections, and here's the owl nest, where students can go up there and relax, get with their laptop, and do a very high point on campus. So you have to also find ways. You can see here, these were pipes too. You see, we're experimenting with the house in Mexico. We're experimenting with this. We're trying to see how you make arches, how you make forms, how you make a facade that is transparent, but also you don't have to end up, you have pipes, you can hold them, you can make the curve, because you just put one and then you can do the curve. You can do a lot of this without having to do all these attachments and all these things. You weld it on the top. So you can create this type of, environment, with glass and the screen. And this is what gives you at night, this transparency and these layers that I still think that is really beautiful project. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. Okay, maybe this one I'm just going to show, this is another house, just going to show the stair. It's let me see, uno, dos, okay. So this is a house, and again, there's many ideas, in this project, but in here, I'm going to show you just the stair, this number 10 here. Okay, how can you create something? So when you do a stair in school, you just go like that, you put the stair and done. Well, it's not that simple in real life. So we're trying to create this house, something interesting, and this is a stair that connect 3 levels. So we decided to do a steel stair. All this is steel, painted white. And then we have ideas of how we make this sculpture in the house. So we know Jorge Jaspic is a Mexican sculptor that we know, who does very interesting, sculptures that you kind of see out of volcanic rock. So thinking of him, we said we can do a stair. And even here, this panel is hanging, the stair is hanging, and we made a panel that is connected to the wall that you don't notice that that's how you hold in the stair in one side. So, here. So here you can see, if you see all these shapes, all this stone is white. depending how the light hit it, it's all the same color, but with the shade and shadow, you get different tones. And we thought it was very interesting how you see it and cut it, but all that is still and that is holding itself. So we see it like there's always an opportunity to do something artistic, different. So that's one of those. And that's the railing to a yard. I like that photo. Okay, this is the last one. So this is a house in the lake. It's a property. It's a beautiful property that the owner has, all this land, and this is one entry, and there's another entry from here, and you have lake, land, and more land, and you have horses here. So it's kind of like really close to downtown, but you have all that. Normally people have just like this. This person have, all this. So this is an existing carriage house, and you'll see the main house and the pool. And I'll walk you through this, and a boat dock. So this, when people say, are you doing a house? Well, it's really like project 1, project 2, project 3, project 4, project 5, and the horses, we did stables, but they didn't get built. And so first one was the boat dock. We ended up liking a lot the steel contractor, Patriot. They did the tower in Formula One. And you think that they'll do only big building, they will do anything, any size. So sometimes if you're dealing with a contractor that you think they only do big things, talk to them. They'd be happy to do these other projects. So this is a boat dock. And this was like the third design. The owner is too expensive. So we ended up doing it to the way that you could not take, this is the structure, you could not, there's nothing else you can, this is what the piles that go in the water and the platform, and this is the columns holding this, and you cannot remove it, you cannot make it any thinner, you cannot make it any smaller. So here's the shop drawings of all the connections of the steel. Even here you can see the roof is sloping, so the water comes out, but all these connections and how all that, too sensitive for me. So you get these barges that come, this get built from the water. So you can see there the first columns coming in there, and then they slowly start raising the pieces, and then from the land, they start having this crane to do all these connections. So one of the reasons we like steel is because with steel, you can do very thin members. If you do it out of concrete, it needs to be like that, right? So we do this very thin. And also what we like is you do it all in a shop. It comes back, and in 1 week, all this is done. And you can see here, everything is done very precise in the shop. Everything fits perfectly there. And here you can see the boat dock. He would put a stair so you can go, well, this doesn't, yeah. Here, you can go up, you have a viewing terrace, you can have your boat, and you are enjoying life over there. And look at how simple that is. We call it the W dock, because it looks like a W dock. But this is a boat dock, but it was engineered by us, right? We thought that what came first is the engineering. So again, I cannot stress it more, the engineering. You do the engineering, the engineer check the members, okay? You have to do it. You don't go and say, engineer, how can I do a boat that is very cheap, very little elements, that is solar? They don't know, okay? So you got to do it, sorry. And you can see here how the roof is cantilevered. There's nothing holding it out there in the ocean. So this is the first sketch of the house, which is next to it. There is the terrain goes up. We're trying to say, how can you do something in the bottom, something above? But this is the initial sketch. We go, there's these big trees, and you start thinking, how do you do this house? How do you put it in nature? How do you work it out? right? So again, we did on the House of the Bridge, we did this house that is all glass. So it became very popular in Austin, and everybody, I want a house like that one. I want a house like that one. So this is no exception, but we said, we're gonna get you a house similar, but not like that one, but it's the idea of all glass in there. So you can see from there. And this is the shower. Here's the shower. And the master, and everything else is down. These are curtain steel panels, very thin. So it's just panels that just go. It's not the plate in there, but it's a very simple plan. You enter, there's a car, the guests can park here, they can walk, go down here and enter there. The owner can keep driving around or go into the other entry, park here and go to this area. So this would be a living room, dining, living room, kitchen, and a little, fireplace and a little study office, and the bedrooms in this, except the master that is upstairs. But all this is facing the lake, and you can see all this is glass. So as you come from the house, you see through the property. And as you can see, as you go up from as you start approaching the house, you're high and you see the water. You see, because the elevation, you can see the water. And in the other side, there is no development. So you see a park. It's a park. So you see green. That's the other side of the lake. And again, this is the corridor to the bedrooms with the steel panels. This all the details, how you put all that together, how the panels start. I can go on and on with stories of, how to make it happen. But drawings are very simple. You arrive here, right? You go down, you walk here, and the idea is that you have a roof that is floating. How you make that happen? No columns. You have to put the structure here on the roof. Where do we learn that? Ms. Van der Rohe did that in Crown Hall, right? In Illinois Institute of Technology, he had all the structure above, and everything is. So we can eliminate these 4 columns if we put the structure above. So the effect is the fireplace, and then even here, well, won't go over in details, but all this is complicated because they're all sloping, all stacker in a different. But you can see the sense of that space that you're there and just you and the water. Here's the swimming pool, here's the boat dock, and here's the guest house. So you can leave the house, walk out, the pool, the boat dock. You have everything there. You can see, again, very simple materials. We like to use 2 or 3 materials only, not like 200. So here's just, the stucco, the metal, concrete. And here's the guest house with terraces, the same materials, the same palette, with a corner window that will open, and you can open the corner window, you can see, out and enjoy the environment. So here is kind of the last photo of how you can see, the connection of nature in Austin, which is what we try to aspire to have less architecture and more nature. Thank you so much.
Miguel, muchas gracias. Thank you very much. We'll do a couple of minutes to do questions and answers. And what I'm going to do is, Antonio, I'm going to have you in charge of questions and answers in the audience. And then I'm going to jump over to my computer to see if there's any from the chat. So those of you that are on Zoom, I'm not going to leave you out. We'll try to answer some questions from there as well. So. Anybody?
Yes, questions.
So I was looking at a lot of the pictures and I was wondering what software you guys are rendering with, or if those are all like in-person photos.
These are, the rendering was on the Rice University, those were renderings.
I mean, like
But
that house that was the one that was all glass, the first one that you guys have done. the vertical home, were those renders what you were showing, or are those all pictures like after the finished product?
After finish, there's a few that are obviously in that one. When I show was a sketch freehand, but everything is the real house. Yeah, the Rice University is all renderings because that didn't get built. But
First of all, thank you for coming out.
you're welcome.
So the question is, well, here in the lecture, you mentioned it's all about the hinges. On YouTube, I heard an interview and you mentioned it's all in the details. And you mentioned the hinges. What is it about the hinges, or like, how do you look at the details of, you know what, the hinges is such a small part of the project, but that matters.
What I mean is that we have an idea, we work on the idea, and you're gonna get obstacles all the time. From city officials, the code doesn't work, or contractor is too expensive. You're gonna get a lot of obstacle all the time. It's too hard. I don't know who can do that, or that's not gonna hold. Or so you have to do the extra work to defend the design. So I think I spent at least like a quarter of my time defending the design. Okay, so you have to do the extra work. Otherwise, they're never gonna look like this. When we started 20 years ago, it was like, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. So I started looking for craftsmen directly. I started talking to the cabinet maker directly and showing them how to do other products, a wine cellar, things that were complicated. We sit down within this, how we do it. Part of that, my father was a contractor. Juan's father was an architect. So I was in the construction, world. And Juan was in the architectural, world since a kid. So I just try not to get no as an answer. So looking always for the best interest of the client and the project. So what you have to do is, what I mean is, I could say, you're right, the steel door is so heavy. Let's put a hollow metal door like that one over there. They say, no, it's going to destroy it. If that bathroom had another door, it destroy everything. So you do all this work and then it gets destroyed because of one thing. So, and that's what the detail is. Sometimes it's like, oh, the air conditioning unit doesn't fit, or what, and then you figure out something, or it's noise. You're gonna have problems all the time, or obstacles more than, and then you find the solution. You're not gonna get it too much from the engineers. You're not gonna get it from the contractor. So you need to have in your mind that you're gonna find solutions, because the client comes with problems to you. I need a building, I need the Formula One. I need something to make this amazing. I don't know, what should we do? I don't know what to do. So when people go to the US Open, they see the globe, the World Fair, people are gonna come here and what they're gonna see. I don't know, help me. So we came up with the tower. Oh, that's too expensive. Tubes from piping, from oil in Houston, those standard, get it, come on, let's do it. It's too expensive, let's figure it out. So you're gonna have issues all the time. So you have to ask the right question and find until you get the solution. And that's how you can do the design. There's always, you have to do research all the time. When we do glass, what is the biggest size of glass I can get? Because the client comes, what is the big, you need to know the biggest glass doesn't bend, the wind load, there's a lot of things all the time that, so one way to do it is trying to go to the craftsmen in here. I work in New York for many years with a Japanese contractor, and their craftsmanship of cutting wood, it's not this shame machine, it was this long special, wood cutting, and how they cut and how they were so careful about putting the vacuum cleaner where they cut, it's like, it's just another Japanese, craftsmanship. So you have to go find the craftsmanships and then work with them. Because every time the contractors say, oh, nobody can do it. Here, this guy can do it. All easy, right? This is $20,000. You know that it's 10. You go, okay, your guy say 20, here's this guy says 10. So I spend a lot of time with the plumbers, with the tile people, with the stone people, with the roofer, with all these, framers. I spend time, I talk to them, and you being Latino, or Spanish speaker, in Austin, there's so many Spanish speaking, the people that do the work there, not a lot recorded, right, are Mexican American. I know them, I know their kids, I know their wife, I know where they go, I know many of them get abused, they do work, they give a quote, I don't know, $20,000, they paid them 15. I said, sorry, I cannot pay you more. They have no way to go and fight because some are illegal and, now that we're in the border, all those subjects. So there is a situation that you have to build trust. And all these people that I know that when they do a job that I'm involved, they're going to get paid 100% and they're going to be respected. That's in my jobs. There's no cursing. There's no need to say bad vocabulary. Never. I don't allow that to anybody. So the first thing to do your project is gain the respect from your colleagues, right? And the contractor and everybody there. Once you have that, you have your community and you can do anything. But so it's not about the hinges maybe, but it's about respect first. When you have to find solutions, nobody's going to give you solutions. And you won't believe I have so many craftsmanship will do anything for me, anything. And they don't, it's not about money, it's about respect. Even for me, I have clients that respect me. I do whatever they want. The ones that are jerks, I don't go to their job site anymore. They started well, they become bullies. I don't do your job anymore. So you gotta draw the line. That's very important. You're gonna be in jobs, architect's office. I was in some that I was not treated well, and I took it. I should have left a long time ago. And I said this in lecture too. If you have a boyfriend that is a jerk, get rid of him. Or a girlfriend that try to life is life. Life is life. It's not just architecture. You do architecture to survive, to have fun, to make a difference in people's life. Don't take anything from anybody. You don't have to. Especially now, you can get work anywhere. You can get work anywhere. So respect is the most important thing. Everything else comes. But if you don't do that, you will not be respected in the job site. You will not be respected by the engineer. You have to deal with so many people, right? There's some jobs that you don't need to see people. But okay, sorry, another question.
I have a question from Zoomland here.
Yes.
Isaac says, I am a huge fan of Formula One and have had a great experience at COTA. I love visiting several times a year and love the tower as I think it's a beautiful focal point at the track. One question that I have is, what was the process, if any, choosing that exact location for the tower and not have it somewhere else, say near the grandstands, or and how the certain height was chosen? Because it's quite the adventure climbing the stairs.
Okay, well, the track itself, the route of the track was designed by Tilke. There's a German company that's where they do the track. So when we arrived, the track was already designed. We didn't design the track. It's this group from Germany. So in their design, where the tower is, there was a kind of a big, what we call the plaza, the Grand Plaza, a big space that was kind of left over. And that's what the owners say, all this space, I need to do something. in this whole space. And today we put a fountain at the beginning. There was a ticket. So we made that one of the main entries to the public. So we took the Germans and the Formula One at that point, they don't care what's happening inside. The day they have the race, the owner of the track given the keys and that's they own it. So all they care is from the track inside. In the media center, the little hospital with the helicopter, all those things they care. For outside, it's not the problem. So that's where our client calls, and then we took advantage of all that space to put the tower there, but also we did a big entry. Then we have that water fountain where people meet and they're laying down, and they have all the food vendors all around. And then we did the amphitheater, and we did, now there's a soccer field in there too. We plan to have a soccer field because Formula One is 3 days a year. So when you do Formula One in other countries, they get paid by, they have it, the millionaires in the Emirates and all that. Right here, the US have to pay everything. So they wanted to have, the idea of the plaza was to have other activities that during the year, people can go there and also make money. And that's what they did. The X Games there for 3 or 4 years, and they keep doing things there. Did that answer the question?
I believe so.
Okay.
I think we have time for one more question. Anybody?
Yes, go ahead.
Let Antonia get to you so that the people on Zoom can hear you too.
I wanted to ask you about your experience in making buildings in the U.S. and in Mexico, and just the difference between just overall, like, I don't know, like searching for materials, like working with people around there, like which is easier? Do you prefer any other, or like, is it just the same? Or
It's not the same. For example, I've done projects in Italy and Spain, and Mexico, Puerto Rico. They're different. They're different. So you need to know. In the U.S., the way it works, you made a mistake, you're gonna get sued. It's the legal thing, right? So I spend, I say 20%, with the contract. I spend like 50% making sure we do everything right, so you don't get into a situation that the buildings start leaking, there's a problem, you get sued. So the way in the US, for example, Japanese, they don't sue. They shake your hand, they do the project. You don't even need a contract. They shake your hand and we're good. You told me that just do it when I work with Japanese. So in Europe, big construction companies take the lead of the construction a lot. In Spain, it's different. But in Italy, in England, other places, the construction company kind of take your schematics, kind of DD, and they do all the construction drawings, and they get very involved, and the architects go. So in Mexico, it was very similar too, that the construction will do, more work. So you get the project to a certain level, but you're still involved. But the construction company is very heavily involved, either through a developer or that. In the US, you have to have everything to make sure that it's not missed, because then they start, if you have like all these lights and you didn't put in the drawing these two, and you come and say, oh, we need 2 more lights. Oh, that's $2,000 more. Who's going to pay for that? It's your mistake. And you're like, it's not my mistake. Antonia forget to draw the 2 lights. So it's complicated. So we spend a lot of time. And the US time is money. And if you miss it, so you have to spend a lot of time making sure everything is there. And also you have to educate the clients. Like in the houses we do, they are unique, never done that before. So we tell them, this is a work of art. It's not precision. It's not like a factory. I told them like this, it's not like a factory of cars. When you're doing car, whatever car you want, Toyota, that they're all, is the car number 3,000 or 300,000. They've done so many. It's a factory. Here's the only house, the only way we did this. We never done this. We never done this bridge. We figure out, let's do mock-up so we don't make mistake. Let's try one to see if we like it. Let's try what problems we might have. And then that's how you work. Did that answer a little bit? Yeah, but it requires you to know the place. One thing that you will learn from many architects is when they do projects in overseas or different places that are limited in resources, you got to go and see what is possible. You don't try to do something that there is not the material or the skill to do it. So you got to adapt to do it, what they, do there. Give it one more. You okay? Any more? Yes. Here, go ahead. I'm here for you. I came here to be with you. So even later, after Emmanuel turned off the microphone, you can come and talk to me. Any question? Go ahead.
So I'm a contractor and I do a lot of fix and flips, and I started with the construction side and now I'm going the architecture route. But there's two different ways of thinking, the contractor and the architect. And then, of course, your engineers, et cetera. How do you how would you advise to make that pivot?
From construction to,
Like in my case.
well, I think it's very simple. You need to recognize that it takes a team of people. I think I had a photo of the office here. Oh, maybe he turned it up. It takes a team of people. This is something I said, the show must go on. If one of the team members is not here, we still keep going. So it takes a team to do anything. It's not just the architects, engineer, acoustic. So we're doing a project now, the Mexican American Cultural Center, an addition in Austin, and we have 22 consultants. We have city departments. We're working with Tatiana Bilbao in Mexico City. So there is literally like over 100 people that are consultants or team members. And the one in charge of the job, in terms of project manager, how do I keep everybody motivated? You know that in baseball or basketball or even soccer, not always, or probably not the best team wins. It's not the best team that wins. You know that. Brooklyn is out, right? It's the ones that are motivated or the ones that are working as a team. So I try to get everybody motivated and everybody to do the best they can. No, it's like they said, I don't want you to be the best, but do the best you can. So when you get the best from everybody, it's easy. So as a contractor, your job is to keep people motivated and not just do the job and get the money and leave. But how you get them engaged that they're making a difference in this community center or in Formula One or all these projects. So that's the truth in every profession. You're a teacher, Manuel started in the school, how you get the other professors motivated. We're doing something, we're making a difference. It's very hard year after year, project after project. So you have to keep every motivated from all the sides, and you do good. If we had a better working government, not to get political, nothing to do, from one side or the other or the three sides, we'll be doing so much. We can be doing so much more. People know the solution to problems, but they're obstacles. So if you have obstacles on your life, that goes from personal to political to family to everything. So anyway, that's just advice I like, to say, because it's common sense, but sometimes it's not clear, but all those things translate to, so if you cannot have a clear mind to get the people that are, I have a situation where I have to fire contractors, and I'm still a friend and use it for another job, but for this particular job, you're not focusing, you're not paying attention, you're too busy in something else, or engineers for this job, and get the right people at the right time. That's how you make the project successful. Doesn't mean that you never worked with that one before or anything like that. It's just that at this time, you're not, like in a soccer game. This time you're in the bench because we have the other guy that is running, that is hustling, that wants to win. If you don't want to win, even if you are a star, Chicharito, you're to the bench. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So Miguel does have books, very lovely books, very heavy books, but very beautiful. I was fortunate enough to get one personalized from Miguel, and I flipped through them a little while ago. Their original price is $65. It's going to be 40% off. So now's the time to get it. It is autographed by both Juan and Miguel, so you'll get both autographs on it. We'll set up outside so that you guys can make a line and do so. We are also having the dinner, so if you haven't bought your ticket after this, we're going to have the dinner over at our building. We still have plenty of tickets, plenty of food for you guys to join us, and then you could chit chat with Mr. Rivera some more. Thank you.
Thank you.